Tonight on Joynews Prime, nearly 110,000 special voters get the chance to decide their president and parliamentarians ahead of the general election next week in what has been a largely incident-free process with an impressive turnout.
We are making sure that these officers are put on duties that are close to where they would vote, so no officer would be disenfranchised.
Meanwhile, the front runners in the race are stopping at nothing to win over more votes, with the opposition NDC revising their fees policy for tertiary students. Just about the same time, the governing MPP announced a scholarship scheme for all free SHS beneficiaries who gain admission into tertiary institutions.
All WASI graduates, that's the first batch of the free SHS, now have an opportunity to apply for scholarship for their tuition fees at the tertiary level to be paid for them.
The MPP is also cautioning Ghanaians former President Mahama can't be trusted to deliver on his promises.
To an election, going to amend your manifesto to make a free promise. So clearly, the motives are questionable.
The MPP also says it has a better record of fighting corruption than the NDC. In business,
Mass Lock advances 2 million cedis to traders who fell victim to the Odoan affair. We have more details coming up shortly at 8:30.
And then a 33-year-old man is in custody for allegedly stabbing his girlfriend for attempting to break up with him.
Sister Kankani came to request for my phone charger to charge her phone. Immediately I went back to my room. He used my scissors to stab me multiple times.
My name is Israel, and Joynews Prime is coming to you live from our Founder Studios at Kokomlimle here in Accra on your digital terrestrial TV, because we are free to air, and also on DSTV channel 421 and GoTV channel 144. This is a home of independent, fearless, credible, and impactful journalism. A special voting for the 2020 election took place in all 275 constituencies across the country as a precursor to the main election next week. The exercise, which was largely uneventful, offered an opportunity to personnel of the security agencies, Electoral Commission, staff, media practitioners and party agents who will be bogged down with various roles, a chance to vote ahead of everyone else. Preliminary reports indicate about 90% of the 109,557 special voters turned out to vote. We'll bring you reports on the exercise from across the country. We'll start off in the Upper West region, where we have been speaking with one of the presiding officer for the Wa Circuit Court 1B polling center, Adam Idrisu. He gave an overview of what transpired at the center.
Going through the process, we have ended.
Yeah.
What can you tell us?
You are most welcome. The exercise ended successfully at exactly 5 p.m. In all, just as I indicated this morning, the total number of voters on the register was 433. And at the close of polls, 380 came to vote. Out of this, 99 were females and 281 were males. So in all, we secured about 87.8% turnout. There weren't any challenge. We didn't face any difficulty, to say the least. So I think in a nutshell, this is what we have to say. It was.
Now that the polls are closed,
yeah.
What is the next step?
The next step is for early or special voting. Usually, we don't count. So we are going to ask all agents to add their seals to our ballot box, which will be sent under security to the armory at the police station. It will be counted on the 7th of December at 5 p.m. at the Constituency Collating Center. So that is where we shall count it and continue to receive the results from other polling stations within the constituency.
Well, no police officer will be disenfranchised as names of several police officers get missing from the special voting. Now, security officers whose names are missing from the exercise or from the special voters list would have the opportunity to vote on December 7th. That's according to the Deputy Ashanti Regional Police Commander, DCOP David Ajem. The assurance comes as several security officers, especially from the police and prisons, who submitted their names for the special voters exercise, could not find their names on the list.
DCOP Ajem says officers would be assigned electoral security duties close to their polling stations to enable them participate in December 7 polls.
The IGP this morning has given instructions that on the voting day, all officers whose names are missing must be allowed to vote before they go on duty. So what we are doing is that we are making sure that these officers are put on duties that are close to where they would vote. So no officer would be disenfranchised.
Asked how feasible it would be for police officers who registered outside the region to vote, DCOP Ajem insists the officers would be allowed to vote whilst performing their electoral security duties there.
So on that day, we would ensure that that person goes to perform his duties where he's registered to vote. I mean, we are in one jurisdiction. I mean, we are the police service, and it's all for all Ghana. So I don't think that it should create any big issues for us.
The special voting exercise has so far been peaceful in Kumasi, with strict adherence to COVID-19 protocols, including hand washing, social distancing, and use of hand sanitizer. Some of the constituencies our news team visited include the police canteen in Subin constituency, Ebenezer Methodist Church in Bantama, Bethel Methodist for Kwadaso constituency, as well as Ejiso and Patasi Police Depot in the Inshaeso constituency. Meanwhile, the Ashanti Regional Prisons Commander, DDP Samuel Osuamponsa, is entreating Ghanaians to peacefully partake in the December 7th election. DDP Osuamponsa, who cast his ballot at the Kumasi Police Canteen, was happy at the smooth process.
I will advise them to, when they come, they should exercise patience and exercise their rights. Nobody should intimidate them, and nothing is going to happen, and everything is going to be a smooth exercise.
Nana Ojimes report for Joynews.
And the Kroa constituency here in Accra, the Peshi Divisional Police at Nungwa say they are investigating a case involving two voters who allegedly took a photo of their ballot paper. The two who deny the claim are currently in the custody of the police. Ernest Menu has more.
Here at the Peshi Divisional Headquarters of the police at Nungwa, the venue for the special voting, the event has been smooth so far. We had voters adhering to the COVID-19 protocols, going through the processes to cast their ballot peacefully. Indeed, there have not been any security concerns here. But however, at midday, there were two incidents that were recorded. Two individuals were arrested by the police, first on the instance of the EC officials, and second by other observers, for allegedly taking a shot of their ballot paper on their phones. Now, they were interrogated by the police. They denied the claim. It has been a bit of a contention. They remain behind bars as we speak, because the police say they have found the evidence of the ballot paper on their phone. There was a third incident recorded not long after that. An NDC agent here accused the lady of taking a shot of her ballot paper. Eventually, when she was taken in by the police for interrogation, they found no such evidence of taking a picture of her ballot paper. She has been let go and discharged. However, the accounting of the ballot is underway by the election officials here at the Krowa constituency.
The presiding officer for polling station B, Forson. Presiding officer for polling station B. The total number on the register was 414. And then for the presidential, 359 voted, and parliamentary, 357 voted. Yes, that's...
So far, are the agents satisfied with the protest? Did they raise any challenge?
No, they didn't raise any challenge. So far, they have been very peaceful, and the protest has been very smooth. The agents did not have any problems.
The two major candidates, Elizabeth Afolekwe, who is the incumbent, the Member of Parliament for Krowo, and the Minister of Fisheries, is poised. She says she believes she's going to win the constituency again, but this time a wider margin. In 2016, she won by a little over 2,600 votes, and she came up against a strong contender who had just about 3 months to campaign for the elections, Agnes Mumulati. Agnes is back on the ballot paper for 2020, and she says she's going to give the
This is very significant for me because every individual vote counts. So it is really important. The total number expected to vote here is over 400. So for me, it's very significant. Yes. Hopefully, I'm winning this one too. And I know that I'm winning the national or the general elections on the 7th of December. It's been very peaceful. It's been very, very peaceful. And I expect that on the 7th of December, the same environment will persist and everybody will be very comfortable. We'll go about expressing our franchise, you know, in a very peaceful manner.
There have been a few incidents of alleged, you know, of people allegedly taking a shot of their ballot, and I understand the police is handling that matter. I'm sure that has come to you. What do you make of that?
I don't know why anybody would want to do that. These days, a lot of things happen. People just get excited with social media. This morning, I saw some people displaying some ballots on social media. Maybe they are just excited. They just want to display their votes or something.
But you can assure us that this is not being instigated by any of your team members whatsoever?
No, I don't think so. If you know the environment, the ambience properly, you wouldn't be so desperate as to ask people to take photos of their votes. I don't think I would want to.
You appear very confident, but you are coming up against somebody who contested you in 2016. Remember, she was not originally the candidate. They lost out. The person who was voted for passed on, and she was eventually brought on.
Pass on, please. So, he only fell sick.
He only fell sick. Very well. Thanks for the correction. But it means that she did not have enough time, as it were, to campaign. But she put up quite strongly a good show. She won with, she lost by 30 votes. You won with just a little over 2,000 votes. And so this is quite a fierce competition. You are very confident that you are going to win, and by what margin?
By a bigger margin, more convincingly than it was in 2016. We know Krowo has always been a swing seat, but this time, because of the good work of the Member of Parliament and the good work of His Excellency, the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, I believe strongly that the margin is going to increase because our work is there for everybody to see. Our performance is very clear for everybody to see. And so I believe strongly that the margin is going to increase, and Krowo will become one of the strongholds of the New Patriotic Party.
Yeah, here at Nungua, the people who often decide the votes are those along the beaches, the coastal area, where you call the Mami, and they are mainly fisher folks. You, as Fisheries Minister, this will be a vote or a verdict passed on your performance as Minister for Fisheries. Do you think that you have served them well and served their interests with the position you were given by winning this constituency?
It will interest you to know that just yesterday a lot of fishermen met with me and proclaimed their support for me. They actually assured me that with the work that I have done so far, there's no going back. They are going to show their support. They are going to show their gratitude to the New Patriotic Party.
Well, we move over to the Ayawaso West Wagoon constituency, where the chairman of the National Democratic Congress in the constituency, Bismarck Abobi Ayete, is calling on the security personnel who will be deployed to the constituency to be professional. According to him, this will prevent the constituency from witnessing the kind of violence that characterized the 2018 by-election in the constituency. Bismarck Abobi Ayete also expressed his confidence that his party's parliamentary candidate, John Dumelo, will annex the seat for the NDC.
That events of 2018 may rehappen in this constituency?
Definitely. I've experienced it, and I will tell you that never again in the political history of this country that what happened during the by-election should happen against to this nation, and specifically to Ayawaso West Wagoon. So when it comes to security, I'm very, very conscious, because you've campaigned, people are willing to come and vote for you. They can hear one gunshot or the other, and they will go back, they will quail, they will not come and vote. It means your effort, energy, and all the resources will go in vain. That's why I am pleading with the security agencies, and especially the government in power and the police hierarchy, to ensure that, right, if they are disciplined on the day, if you see any policeman and you see any additional person that you think he is not a policeman, like what we saw on the by-election, wearing mask here and there, and tormenting people. If the police are disciplined, they can call those people to order. The citizens and the voters will have confidence, and the process will go on well.
Right. So I spoke to Ma Lydia this morning, Lydia Seyram Halasan, the current member of parliament for the constituency. She is very confident that she's winning this seat by 60%. Of course, this constituency has been a seat that the MPP have been winning traditionally. It's only been won by the NDC once. What do you think the chances of John Dumelo is? I've actually also spoken to him. He's very confident that he would win. But Ma Lydia was very categorical that she's going to win by 60%.
I have followed John Dumelo as the campaign manager, and what I have seen so far, it clearly shows that John is winning the election. We have about 60% of the voter population, they are the youth, and he easily identifies with the youth.
Now, the Upper West Regional Director of the Electoral Commission, Ali Osman Adamu, has expressed optimism the impending December 7 polls will be conducted in an atmosphere of peace and tranquility, very much like what happened during Tuesday's special voting exercise.
Yes, the voting has ended successfully, and as you can see, the two centers that we have for West Central have all ended well. This morning, I went around all the constituencies, from here, Naduli to Laura, Jirapa, Nandom, Lambusi, and back. My deputy also went to Uchao, Funsi, DBI, and the other constituencies, and we are all back. The information is that everything has gone successfully, and the voting has ended very well. There was no incident, there wasn't any mishap. So we are happy that it has gone this way.
Will you say that come 7th December, it will be the same?
It will be the same, because the machines that we are using, all the equipment that we are using are the same. So we are hoping that everything being equal, things will be the same.
But there was one bit of challenge which has to deal with the use of nose masks or face mask or face shield. Some people came here without them. And so, by law, what are you going to do? Are you going to be strict on them come December 7th, that people without nose masks, you won't allow them to vote?
Not that we won't allow them to vote. If we are advertising that everybody who is coming to a public event must wear the nose mask. And there's a law that everyone must be wearing a nose mask wherever you are going. So if you don't have it, we ask you, please go and look for nose masks and come. If you go, even if you have a handkerchief and you use it to cover your nose, you can come in and vote. But to come bare like that is what the Commission is not happy with.
There was one issue that cropped up, and when we spoke to the incumbent member of Parliament for West Central, Dr. Rashid Bilbo, they talk about one of the registers where you have multiple registrants. Has that come to your attention?
Oh, the municipal officer reported something like that, to me. I have forwarded it to Accra, and they are working on that. So come 7th December, it will not have any effect.
Now, General Secretary of the New Patriotic Party, John Boadu, has expressed satisfaction with the conduct of the special voting exercise at the various centers However, he says the party ought to do a lot more to get a lot of people to cast their ballot on December 7, as not all the special voters turned up. John Bodu has been speaking with rhetoric.
So the special voting exercise has just ended. It's 5 p.m. and then the last people or the persons that were in the queue have just cast their ballots. And so currently the Electoral Commission officials are packing their things. They are reconciling a lot of things with the party agent here, the MPP, and then the NDC agent here. It's been somewhat smooth sailing with the exception of a few issues that some of the security personnel could not find their names. But that one, the regional police commander has indicated to us that these persons that were affected would be placed in the various polling stations that they ordinarily would have voted, so that they would not be disenfranchised. So far it's been smooth sailing. There have not been any incident whatsoever. The biometric machines have been working perfectly, and all the party agents can attest to the fact that things have really gone well. We had an interaction with the General Secretary of the New Patriotic Party, Mr. John Bodu, and he was of the opinion that in fact they have been hugely impressed by how the conduct have gone. He's visited a number of these polling stations, and they say that the MPP is very, very satisfied.
If you look for the Electoral Commission itself, everywhere we've been to, they've not complained about the effect of the machines, and they have even said that if a voter comes and is unable to biometrically go through the facial recognition that the Electoral Commission promise works, to the extent that they are even saying that it is embedded in the machine, manual verification process, which we even didn't know. The last IPAC meeting, the Electoral Commission raised it and even insisted that at the end of the day, we won't even have somebody going through manual verification who have to even go further and sign, because the machine itself take cognizance of that, and I think that is something positive that they need to be commended. I think that they are right in the decision they took to ensure that our process gets finer and better as the years go by, and I believe that we all need to encourage them.
One issue that he raised was the turnout, and he felt that with a special voting, for instance, they were expecting about 98–99% of the people to turn out to come and cast their ballot, but as it stands now, they didn't get everybody, so they are going to embark on a special exercise. They want everybody to be involved.
I was thinking that we'll get about 98–99% turnout, but in some of the few places there were differences, but only that I'm surprised, because it is just within just 2 weeks that they opted to vote as special voters, and I want to believe that it's for special reasons. Not that bad, but I expected around 98%. Strangely, in most countries that have had elections in this COVID time have experienced massive turnout, and I don't expect us to be an exception. Coupled with the fact that anytime we do registration in a year of election, there's also massive turnout. We want the Ghanaian people to turn out in their numbers to endorse Nana Addo once again as the president of the country, for him to continue to deliver the good deeds that he's been delivering for the people of this country. So we are looking forward to a massive turnout, and you can be sure that with a massive turnout, we'll obviously get at 54–56% for Nana Addo and get majority in Parliament.
The NDC parliamentary candidate for Cape Coast South, he's been stationed here at the regional police headquarters where the special voting is underway all day. He will tell us about how the event or the special voting process went for him.
Pretty much everyone else, you know, say they were able to identify them with their thumbprint. So, you know, sometimes these machines they work quite well when the volumes are low, but when the numbers becomes huge that's when they are tested, heating and all that other stuff. So we hope that if what we have seen here is anything to go by, we hope that it will be able to handle the volumes as well, because that's a different proposition when you are dealing with those volumes. Well, we hope that the machines are robust enough. They've been tested to deal with, because this is a people's business.
Hello there, welcome to Business. I'm Charles Aite. The Microfinance and Small Loan Center, MASLOC, has begun the disbursement of 2 million cedis for traders who lost their wares at the recent fire incident at the Odona market. The fund, which is expected to take care of about 1,000 traders, is different from that of the National Board for Small-Scale Industries. There is more in this report.
At a short ceremony to present a dummy check to the market women, the Microfinance and Small Loans Center announced that 1,000 victims of the inferno have been identified through the database from the Kolikolote Municipal Assembly. The loan will cater for more than half of the traders without any interest and a one-year moratorium for repayment. Deputy Chief Executive of the Microfinance and Small Loan Center, Efia Akoto, spoke with Joy Business after the ceremony to disperse the first tranche of funds to beneficiaries.
We came to support these business women with some money to help them start again whatever they lost some weeks ago. This is a loan that is going to be an interest-free loan, and this is something that hardly happens on the MASLOC. Every loan from MASLOC comes with an interest. It's an interest-free loan, and aside that, we are giving them a whole year to work with without payment, and after the year, then they can start the repayment schedule.
The traders expressed confidence the fund will be used judiciously to revive their business. Speaking on their behalf, General Secretary of the Odona Traders Association, Benes Adako Klote, appealed to government to fast-track processes to get the market to operate again as soon as possible.
I have to say now to the government is that it should come and build our market for us again in a good way. Not in a way that maybe when there's a fire, the fire service cannot pass through and even quench the fire. We want him to come and make provincial shopping mall a great market for us. It should come and make the market too strong for us so that nothing will happen again for the market people. Because you can't work and just be in the house for 2 years, 3 years before you hear it. Everything that you work for is gone. So we want the market, the government to come and build our market for us very, very, very well, so that tomorrow our children too will enjoy it.
Each trader is expected to get at least 2,000 cedis from the fund.
Now, Joy Business is learning of a shortage of yellow maize and soya bean across the country. Sources close to the Poultry Association of Ghana is warning that the unexpected shortage has the threat of impacting the poultry sector, possibly hiking prices of chicken ahead of the holiday season. So far, we're expecting the Minister of Agri, Dr. Ayawaso Akoto, to hold an emergency meeting with all stakeholders in the value chain on an immediate action to reverse this situation. You may want to stay with us for more on this development story, especially as it impacts the cost of poultry across the country in the coming weeks. But away from that, the Representation of the People Amendment Act, ROPA, passed in 2006, is to allow Ghanaians abroad exercise their franchise during national elections. 14 years on, the laws are yet to be implemented, as over 3.5 million citizens living abroad will be left out in the upcoming elections, with special voting especially having to end today. So how much of an effect could this have on Ghana's economy? Sandra Senamafedo has been engaging John Tadine, a political economist at the University of Texas.
For Ghana, we're blessed with more than 3 million people living outside the country, like I said. And in fact, we should want to implement ROPA because most of these people send in enough remittances that are as high as the annual GDP of Ghana. The annual remittances of Ghanaians living abroad to Ghana are about $5 billion a year, which is about the same amount as Ghana's annual GDP. These people who send in the monies have the same concerns that Ghanaians living in Ghana have, which is whether the investment projects are going into friendly business environments, whether the government is allowing businesses to grow, what are the tax rates, and all these issues that Ghanaians complain about. And so giving them a chance to have a say in who becomes president of Ghana and even parliament for a constituency is an incentive to make them want to contribute more to the development of the economy. And so you have to compare the logistic costs to the economic benefits that you stand to gain by implementing the Representation of the People's Amendment Act into law. But I think that to some extent, government could have pushed for it if the government thought that it was necessary.
Yeah, John, especially when it's been budgeted for, right?
Precisely.
Yeah. And that'll be all for business in this segment. We're back after 8. I'm Charles Aite. Right, it's the time for Showbiz, and Becky Bex is here. Hello, Bex.
Hello to you, Easy Election Headquarters.
Yep.
I missed that shirt.
Okay, where's yours?
Saying, but you know I'm not, you know.
Okay.
My show is for the president. Yours, I don't know.
So you wear Evi's?
Yes,
right.
And you guys do Election Headquarters. We're looking forward to another beautiful one next week. Yeah.
Next week, yeah.
But let's talk about this very exclusive that we had with, remember the Jingle Jangle movie, the Christmas movie that's Disacade.
Disacade has a track.
Yeah, so there's a lady in there. She's 11-year-old. She's called Diana, but you know, American style, Diana. And we had an exclusive interview with her. She spoke about how she landed the role in the movie right here on Joynews. The freestyle, but she just started the music career. You see, I told you to start your music career, but you've started for real here with his own song.
All right.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow, you promised to
tomorrow, yeah, tomorrow.
All right, thank you very much, Becky Bex, for bringing us Showbiz. We're taking a break, and that'll be all for those watching on Joy Prime. But there's more news on the Joy News channel. Do stay tuned in. The Ghana Scholarship Secretariat has announced a scheme for all free SHS beneficiaries who gain admission into tertiary institutions of learning. SHS graduates who are awarded the scholarship will have their fees paid for them by government starting from 2021. Registrar Kingsley Ajamang says the application process is open from now to December 15, with government committing 20 million cedis for the year. He has been speaking with Mami Isinyamicha Thompson.
All WASI graduates, that's the first batch of the free SHS, now have an opportunity to apply for scholarship for their tuition fees at the tertiary level to be paid for them. When? Yes. An amount of 20 million Ghana cedis has been set aside. Of course, you know that because their tuition fees will vary, both in the private tertiary institutions, public tertiary institutions, their courses and programs also vary. So 20 million Ghana cedis being set aside, trust me, can take care of a lot, thousands of these graduates.
How sustainable will this funding for free tertiary education be? Looking at so much money already going into free senior high school.
Immediately His Excellency assumed office in 2017, 350 students in the local tertiary were given scholarship. 2018, we had 9,500 of them enjoying local scholarship. In 2019, a whopping 29,000 local tertiary students had scholarship. This year, for the continuous students, 45,000 of them are going to enjoy scholarship, of which out of the 45, 11,000 or so have been paid already. For the first batch of these free SHS, 20 million has been set aside for them. So in terms of sustainability, it's something that has been progressive all these years. The only thing that can militate against the sustainability of this local scholarship drive is when the MPP is not retained.
So, talking about feasibility, beneficiaries are Ghanaians, essentially students of Ghana. Whether you're in government or not, why don't you ensure that there's continuity even if your government is not in power?
I mean, it's at the prerogative of a government to ensure that the dedication of its citizenry becomes a must. Don't forget that when President Mahama was a president during the dark days of Ghana, he said that for him to restore teacher and nursing training allowance, if it will cost him his presidency, he was ready to sacrifice it. The then flag bearer of the MPP, Anadodan Kwaku, said he will implement free SHS if that will cost him his life. So these two gentlemen all took the oath. Okay, which of them has materialized? Former President Mahama said he will cancel free SHS. Hasn't he said it? I read a lot of their statements that they made. Is this somebody that can be trusted? We can't. The youth of this country cannot trust our education and, for that matter, our future into the hands of a person who is not straight, into the hands of a person who is not very stable.
The announcement of the scholarship scheme came shortly after the opposition NDC announced a revision to its fee policy for tertiary students. A statement issued by the national chairman Samuel Ofosu-Ampofo, who stated the next NDC government will now absorb the full school fees of Ghanaian students who will be admitted to tertiary institutions in the 2020-21 academic year. The NDC's national campaign, so this is what the statement actually says. This policy is an enhancement of our commitment in the People's Manifesto to absorb 50% of the school fees of all tertiary students for the 2020-2021 academic year through the Chemupe policy, which will now apply to only continuing students in tertiary institutions in the country. The flag bearer of the party, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, will in due course throw more light on this enhanced package for Ghanaian students who will be admitted to tertiary institutions next year, dubbed Faninyina. And this is signed by Samuel Ofosu-Ampofo, who's the national chairman of the NDC. Now, the NDC's national campaign manager, Joshua Alabi, has meanwhile been defending his party's decision to introduce free tertiary education for all senior high students, school students. According to him, the gesture will also be extended to continuing students. He spoke with MFA Apau earlier on the Midday News on Joy FM.
What we will need is also to absorb 100%. Initially, in our manifesto, we said 60% for all. But we just finished our rounds and around every region. And actually, you'll see the impact of COVID on the people. And that alone will let you know that they need help. Now, freshers have a lot to do. They have to pay freshers fees, accommodation, etc., etc. So, as a former vice chancellor, I know the burden of freshers when they are admitted. So, having gone around and having listened to the people, and like you know, our manifesto is the people's manifesto, not a consultation. So, we decided to listen to the people, and we said, okay, now the freshers will give them 100%. We're going to absorb that. But the continuing students also have effect. So ours is not limited to only the freshers. Okay. Then the continuing students will have 50%.
But some have described this as an afterthought because the time that the People's Manifesto was being put together, of course, or being launched, the COVID-19 impact was also with us. So many say that this is just a last-minute scam to, lie to the electorate to vote for you.
We don't lie to the electorate. NDC does not lie to the electorate. Now, like I said, initially we said 50%, and that was not a scam. Now we are saying 100% because we've gone around. Look, you need to go around as a journalist and we see the impact of the COVID. I've been to Bukuku, I've been to UU, I've gone around the whole country, and I tell my sister it's not easy. So we said, then let's move the 50% to 100% for the freshers, and then the other students remain at 50. It is no scam, and we are going to do it.
Have you costed it?
My sister, at the moment, as you see, we know that the MPP has over 100-something ministers. At the moment, we need a lot of advisors all over the country. And I tell you, when we do prudent costing, you know that this is just chicken feed for a country to absorb.
But national organizer of the NPP, Samir Wuku, has described the move by the NDC as a scam that must be disregarded. He spoke with Joynews' Kweku Asante.
Biggest scam that any political party can perpetrate on the people of Ghana. The NDC cancelled the teacher training allowance, nursing training allowance in the run-up to 2016 general elections. And the basis for that, even Mr. Mahama, His Excellency, the former president, said that even if it will cost him his presidency, he was willing to stand by that decision, and said that the reason why he was cancelling it was due to the fact that the economy couldn't sustain the payments of these allowances. How many nursing training students do we have? Teacher training, nursing training, they are less than 200,000. Now you want to pay tuition fees for all first-year students of universities across the country in excess of 400,000 people. Look at the person giving the promise. You look at the credibility, the track record of the party and the candidate making that promise. He said that anybody telling you free SHS was possible was dreaming. And Mr. Mahama himself said that it was impossible. Nana Akufo-Addo proved to him in 1 year that it was possible. In 12 months, we proved to him that we could still restore teacher training, nursing training allowances, and still sustain the running of our economy. But then you have a party like the NDC, and the biggest problem of the NDC now is policy credibility.
Now, the governing NPP also says its candidate, President Akufo-Addo, has demonstrated in 4 years that he is committed to fighting corruption than the candidate John Mahama of the NDC. The fight against corruption, according to the governing party, is safer in the hands of the sitting president than in the hands of the former president, who has demonstrated by deeds that he is a corrupt politician. Addressing a news conference Tuesday at the party headquarters, former Director of Communication of the NPP, Nana Komia, among others, said cancellation of the controversial and defective PDS contract shows that President Akufo-Addo is committed to fighting corruption. The governing NPP has also cautioned the Ghanaians to be skeptical about the promise by former President Mahama and the NDC to absorb the fees of students who will be entering tertiary institutions in the next academic year. Even though the party will not say whether or not the promise is feasible, member of the NPP campaign communication team, Nana Komia, says candidate Mahama's past record and pronouncement on freebies shows he can't be trusted with his latest promise that has been made 6 days to the elections. He spoke with my colleague Latif Idris.
President Mahama told us in 2016 that he doesn't believe in free things, and that anything free didn't promote quality. It didn't promote access. So we must be careful in what we believe when he is now promising free things. Because he told us clearly that free things really were not his thing. Number two, this promise, we don't know where it's coming from. 5 or 6 days to elections. They say they are going to actually amend their manifesto to incorporate this promise. Now, this must be the only political party in the history of the Fourth Republic that is amending a manifesto 5-6 days to an election. But you wonder, this is a man who told us we didn't have money for trainee allowances.
Before you go on that, let me just play the devil's advocate here. What is wrong if you identify the need and so you want to adjust and meet the needs and demands of the people?
I mean, you must look at the person who's making the identification and promises. You see, you come from Joy FM, okay? You will be judged by the work you do at Joy FM. So you can't run away from it. So you come from Joy. People will judge you by the work you have done at Joy, by the record that you have at Joy. So when you look at the record of the man, when he has told us there was not enough money to pay allowances, now he's telling you that he will find money to pay fees for thousands and thousands of university students. You have to ask, how is that possible? You would agree that the last 4 years, the inertia that characterized the fight against corruption is no more there. Of course, our NDC friends will disagree.
Watching Joynews Prime, we're taking a break. Do stay tuned, we'll be back. Farmers can now look forward to a befitting retirement as government rolls out a pension scheme for them. The initiative targeting 1.5 million farmers is in line with Section 26 of the Ghana Cocoa Board law, which mandates the board to establish contributory insurance for cocoa farmers. Under the scheme, farmers are expected to voluntarily pay towards or contribute towards their retirement, while Cocoa Board makes a supplementary contribution. Launching the scheme, President Akufo-Addo said the novelty is in government's appreciation of the farmers' contribution towards national development.
Announce the award of a new, unprecedented cocoa producer price of 10,560 cedis per metric ton, equivalent to 660 cedis per bag for the coming 2020-2021 crop year. In furtherance of the joint decision and determination of the governments of Ghana and Côte d'Ivoire, the countries who are the greatest global producers of cocoa, to guarantee their farmers a decent and secure return for their toil and labor from the system of the living income differential. This morning, we're gathered here to deepen the resolve of government towards improving the circumstances of our cocoa farmers by launching the Cocoa Farmers Pension Scheme. When we talk about 4 more years for Nana and the MPP to do more for you, the Cocoa Farmers Pension Scheme is one such example. There are hundreds and hundreds of thousands of cocoa farmers across the country who are responsible for the production of a crop that has for over a century been the mainstay of the economy of our country. They have worked hard to provide us the income with which we have built our nation's infrastructure and its most important educational institutions. In recognition of this, the Ghana Cocoa Board was mandated under Section 26 of the Cocoa Board Law, 1984 PNDC Law 81, to establish a contributory insurance scheme for cocoa farmers within the framework of the Social Security scheme, so that they could also enjoy a well-deserved pension upon retirement.
The novelty, first conceived in 2005, will result in the payment of a lump sum to cocoa farmers. Chief Executive Officer of Cocoa Board, Joseph Wahingi-Edo, is optimistic the fund will ensure farmers have a decent standard of living after retirement.
Cocoa Kwafodie, Abawe Bamoba, Yaman Panyanado Bamoba, Obamoba, Antino, Abaya Kwakotri, Sadamikayano. Obi shwa mrem no shirawa esa wonso okohwe ne de na woda na se ana ne ode beka won kura no eye pension unya mfie aduonum 55 years no a qualify for pension 55 years wa qualify for pension kokwa akuafo adie biem modache no na nado adwene ho asisia no obo modache ho ban se le beye kokokwa ne bia nim se wo ya adwuma ebeduru ba bi no abre wo be kwa homgiem wa mamani daso.
A 33-year-old man is in the grips of the police in Tafo in the Ashanti region after allegedly stabbing his girlfriend for attempting to break up with him. Neighbors in the Tafo Zongo community found the young woman bleeding profusely outside her room after her shouts for help. The victim, 22-year-old Deborah Asante, suffered stab wounds to her neck and back and was rushed to the Tafo Government Hospital. Joynews Mahmoud Mohamed Nuruddin reports a suspect is threatening he will kill Deborah once he is released from custody.
I told him I'm at liberty to decide for myself and that I no longer loved him, but he insisted no woman ever rejected him.
Deborah Asante tells Clement Ansah that the intoxication affects him mentally.
When he came to my room, he was drunk. I told him I couldn't continue the relationship if he does not stop drinking. But he warned me that if I discontinue the relationship, he would hurt me such that no man will ever find me beautiful again.
Immediately, Clement tried to hit Deborah's head against a wall. She dodged, causing Clement's hand to hit the wall painfully.
I threatened to call for his arrest if he continues to act inappropriately in my bedroom. Then I told him to leave the room because he does not stay there. You want me to leave the room? He questioned and I responded in the affirmative, and that if he doesn't leave, I will call the police to arrest him.
Just after Deborah handed over a phone charger to a friend in the house and went back to her room, Clement used a pair of scissors to stab her multiple times.
Sister Kankani came to request for my phone charger to charge her phone. Immediately I went back to my room. He used my scissors to stab me multiple times. I rushed out of the room and fell awkwardly at a small distance, but he was still pursuing me. He stabbed me again. I kept running but fell down twice. He stabbed me in the chest and hands. He was about to stab me in the neck when a man came to rescue me and further admonished him to stop misbehaving.
Clement has just had a relationship with Deborah for 5 months, and all Deborah says it was a good start because Clement treated her with kindness. Deborah says she met Clement in Obuasi during the COVID-19 lockdown when she visited her family, but refused his love proposal because of past experience in a relationship. Deborah, however, had to accept later because Clement promised to look after her well.
I only got to know him when he came to this house. He used to participate in all the activities in the house. He was very calm when he came here and he wasn't drinking then. But all of a sudden, he started drinking.
Just after Clement began drinking alcohol and smoking marijuana, his calmness and cooperative spirit, according to Deborah's friend, disappeared. This is an unimaginable time for young Deborah because Clement says he would kill her.
He says even if he is sentenced to 20 years in prison, he would come and kill me because he killed someone before in his hometown. And his mother paid 80 million old Ghana cedis and he was released.
Until he moved to Kumasi in the Ashanti region, Clement was a galamsey at Obuasi. A report by Mohamed Nuruddin.
We're taking a break here on Joynews Prime. We're bringing you more business. To station.
And it's now time for business. The Sunyani Airport is expected to be ready for commercial flights by the end of December 2020. The project, which is over 90% complete, will ease the burden of road journeys by businesses and facilitate the economic development of the region. Now, this came to light during an inspection of ongoing works by the Deputy Aviation Minister, Ayawaso. Precious Semeva was there and has the latest.
Works at the Sunyani Airport, closed since 2015, is near completion and is expected to be open to aircraft by the end of December 2020. The rehabilitation work, which is behind schedule, includes the expansion and upgrading of the runway from 1,280 to 1,520 meters with a 45-meter width and other civil works. Yaokwakwa is the managing director of Ghana Airports Company Limited. He speaks about what the completion of the Sunyani Airport brings.
The number of rainy days that we factored into the design was far exceeded. That was a major contributor to this delay. Percentage-wise, we are about 95%. We hope to finish by the end of next month. That is by the end of this year. So mean that the company will contribute to the economic development of Ghana, because we see airports and our main mission is to spur the economic growth. You can imagine if you were living in Accra and you have a meeting in Sunyani, how do you get here? Your best bet is to fly to Kumasi and drive here. So this is going to facilitate the economic development of the area, and that is why the MPs and the business people in this region have been pushing us to, actually they've been pushing government to help us to refurbish this airport.
He said the GAC is worried about the encroachment of their land with plans to scale the airport city across the country.
As far as the international requirement for the safety operation of the airport, we are okay. What we are trying to say here is that those lands should not have been encroached. So we are trying to protect the lands. That is why you can see us building a new wall around our remaining lands. Even in Accra, we've started developing an airport city too. That idea is going to be scaled throughout the country, and therefore we need a bigger space for all our airports. So the infrastructure land is the future of the airport in this region, and we are going to incorporate an airport city development as part of that airport.
The Deputy Aviation Minister and Member of Parliament for German South, Ayawaso, expressed the region's appreciation to President Nana Akufo-Addo for keeping his promise with the second phase of the rehabilitation set for his next term.
But the President also insisted when he came here in April last year, once we are done with the first phase, we will get on with the second phase as well. We want to make sure that this airport is able to accommodate as many flights as possible. On behalf of the people in Bron East, Bron region, Ahafo region, we would like to say thank you to the President for the promise kept.
The minister was accompanied by Bono regional executives of the NPP led by Kwame Bafo and its secretary Kofi Ofosu-Boateng. For Joy Business, Precious Semeva, Sunyani.
Now, calls have intensified for the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, to harmonize protocols with those of member states. This has become necessary as member countries continue to identify challenges in the effective implementation of most of these protocols. The Deputy Minister for Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration, Charles Oredi, says the ECOWAS Parliament must be charged to consider local laws in promulgating regional ones. He spoke at a regional sensitization workshop on the ECOWAS protocols and conventions, where Prince Appiah filed this report.
Lack of cohesion between the ECOWAS protocols and that of member states is often fingered as a major cause of impasse between local retail businesses and their foreign counterparts. Ashanti Regional Chair of Ghana Union of Traders Association, Anthony Opong, is worried the situation has dragged on for too long.
I was looking at the situation before even they go to amend the law and states that any the West African neighbor can go to any country and get established. Here is a case that we have an enacted law that states that we can do business wherever we find ourselves, but there's a national law that states that nobody should be allowed to enter into the retreat. It becomes a problem. The heads of state must sit down and make sure they align the laws with the protocols.
Stakeholders acknowledge low access to information about the protocols. Head of International Relations and Cooperations at the Ghana Immigration Service, Superintendent Simon Asari, says public education on the protocols must be intensified.
The situation can be addressed by member states taking it upon themselves to educate their nationals, to trickle down to the ordinary citizens of ECOWAS member states to understand that we are heading towards one community, one family, and that is what we are working at as per our ECOWAS protocols on free movement of persons, goods and services.
Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integrations, Charles Oredu, wants ECOWAS Parliament to take up the charge to address the gap.
Of course, there are some bottlenecks, like we've been seeing, recently, of, Nigeria closing its borders and all that. But what I say to people who raise this issue is that if you look at even the EU, there are still issues, discussions. When the Irish, for example, decide to close their border, I think that we have what we call the ECOWAS Parliament. ECOWAS Parliament is made up of MPs from all, ECOWAS countries. In Ghana, we have a representation at the ECOWAS Parliament made up of both majority and minority sides. They meet. So the essence is to have them have them, discuss these pertinent issues with their colleagues from the other African countries.
The ministry is therefore holding a workshop to help improve the knowledge and understanding of ECOWAS protocols and conventions among key state and non-state actors to effectively contribute to its reforms and implementation. Prince Apia reporting.
Now, the inability of medium to large-scale businesses in the country to afford credit at a lower rate will deny many Ghanaian businesses the benefit of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement area. According to the former president of the Association of Ghana Industries, AGI, James Asari Ajay, this will be a key factor in the implementation of the trade deal. He said other African nations have support mechanisms for their industries and businesses through the application of loan schemes at very low rates, a situation he fears may put Ghanaian businesses at a disadvantage. He spoke to Joy Business at the CEO's cocktail ceremony on After.
It took Europe over 50 years to reach the level of industrial development, the level of integration of the market, the level of the depth of their macroeconomic policy and as a region. It's going to take a long time for Africa to get to the point of one single market. But we've got to start somewhere. We've got to start integrating the market in Africa somewhere. We've got to start breaking down the barriers to trade and investment on the African continent. We've got to start somewhere. I don't believe that we should despair and say, well, it's too difficult, or that we should say it can never be done. I think we've got to try. We owe it to future generations. We owe it to people of this great country. We owe it to the visionary Kwame Nkrumah, who was actually the intellectual founding father of an integrated Africa.
What we need now is to look at, for example, cost of credit. I was just saying that if you look at the policy rate, which was quite recently announced by the governor, which is 14.5%. Now, since 2017, it has dropped, from about 25.5% to the present 14.5%. But you don't see corresponding drop in policy, in interest rate or cost of credit. So if you have about 10 or 11 percentage point drop, in policy rate since 2017 till now. Now, why is it that we still have high cost of credit? Probably...
You still think it's a challenge?
Yeah, it's a huge challenge, because at the end of the day, if you have a country or if you have a business which is borrowing at single digit, now how are you going to compete with such businesses, if you are taking credit at probably 23-25%, so it's a big challenge. Now, beyond the cost of credit, we are also talking about the tenor of credit. Now, in our market, you see that it is very difficult to really attract medium to long-term credit. 5 years and beyond. And hence, for example, in manufacturing, in industry, if you are not getting long-term, medium to long-term credit, then it is very difficult for you to retool and expand, because you wouldn't use short-term credit, which is, for working capital to do expansion or retooling. So once we are not getting cheaper credit, once we are not getting long-term credit, with what we refer to as project credit, then it becomes a challenge.
And that'll be all for business. I'm Charles Isaac.
It's our time to bring you the second installment of sports here on Joynews Prime. My name is Hans Meizando, and the management of Kumasi Asante Kotoko has written to the Ghana Football Association to change their home venue for the ongoing Ghana Premier League season. Due to renovation works at the Barbara Sports Stadium in Kumasi, Kotoko had to settle on the Accra Sports Stadium for home games in the Ghana Premier League.
News for this year's Premier League. We chose the Ohenijan Sports Stadium as our first venue, and then Aliyu Mahama Sports Stadium as our second venue. And if we look at the congestion and the pressure on the Accra facility, we thought it wise at this point in time to move from the Accra Sports Stadium to the Aliyu Mahama Sports Stadium. We are aware that Legon City, they play their home game there, Accra Great Olympics, Inter Alliance, Heart of Oak, and Kotoko as well. And all these activities will put an undue pressure on the facility at the Accra Sports Stadium. So we thought it wise to move to the Aliyu Mahama Sports Stadium, where we have some teeming fans there, and then they have been deprived of the activities of the club because there's no premiership action that goes on around that part of the country. So we've decided to move to that part of the country for people over there to have a remarkable improvement in the quality of life of what is happening in our footballing circles. More importantly, our FA presidents have come out with the motto that's igniting passions and creating wealth for all. The passions are ignited, the wealth is created. But in our considered opinion, we feel that that passion and then the wealth created are all centralized in Accra. So we want to have the opportunity for the people within up north. We also have benefits from the wealth created within football, which is why we are moving there. And the president has also come out with the cliche that to bring back the love. Yes, the love is now back. But Kotoko, we are amplifying on that slogan by spreading the love across the length and breadth of the country.
Of course, there's been games tonight in the UEFA Champions League. Already mentioned Real Madrid losing to Shakhtar Donetsk by 2-0, and they risk ending up in the UEFA Europa League. We're checking out some of the results for the 8 p.m. kickoff there you see there. And of course, Lokomotiv Moscow also losing by 3-1 against Salzburg. Atletico Madrid beating Bayern Munich by 1-0 half-time in that game. Real Madrid losing by 2-0 against Shakhtar. Borussia Mönchengladbach at half-time level 1-1 against Inter Milan. And in Group C, Porto 0, Manchester City 0 half-time in that game. Marseille are down by 1-0 against Olympiacos. And in Group D, Atalanta at half-time are down by 1-0 against FC Midtjylland. Half-time between Liverpool and Ajax. It is goalless. That's it for me. There is more sport on myjoyonline.com/sports. My name is Hans Meizan.
That'll be all for the bulletin for this evening. I'm Israelite. Thank you very much for watching. You have a good night.